Okay, and we're recording. So go ahead and tell everybody your story and where you're from.
Well, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. The city, the beautiful city of Atlanta. And basically the story was I was pulling out of my complex and headed to work. I made a right out of my complex, came to a traffic light. The light turned green. The car in front of me was delayed going actually. So, but they finally went through. I decided to go ahead and make it. The light wasn't, red. So the cop to my right actually pulled me over. Well, he put the lights on, obviously pulled me over. I pulled into a gas station. So I came to a stop. He came to my vehicle and said, do you realize that you were at the light for 7 seconds? I said, well, the car in front of me was delayed, so I don't know why, but the light wasn't red, so I still decided to go. I mean, obviously, I can still go if it's not red. He said, well, if I can get your driver's license registration. I mean, at that point, I asked the officer, well, if I did wrong, I don't know why you asked for my license, your registration. He said, I'll tell you that in a minute. So then I gave him my information. He came back and said, well, you're being cited for texting while driving. I said, officer, I was not texting while driving. And if I was, could you, tell me who I was texting or what I was texting? So he began to get kind of belligerent, basically telling me, don't be a smart ass in so many words. He kind of threatened me with, well, I'm going to cite you for, not wearing the seatbelt. I said, well, your officer, I had on my seatbelt. The only reason I took it off was to get my registration out of my glove compartment. He said, well, doesn't matter. I'm citing you for texting while I'm driving. So, that's pretty much the story.
So he basically made it up.
Yeah, he basically made it up. I mean, he couldn't tell me. He didn't really tell me who I was texting or what I was doing. He just simply stated that, here's the ticket for texting while I'm driving, pretty much.
Right. And so what happened when you went to court?
Well, I went to court. Of course, when I got there, I did exactly what you told me this time. I did not talk to the prosecutor. Well, the prosecutor made it his. I told him I wanted to speak directly with the judge. The prosecutor came to me. I actually sat down next to me and said, hey, what do you want to do on your case? I didn't reply, well, what do you guys want to do? I said, I'm here to really speak to the judge. He at that point said, well, we can have this fine reduced. Of course, what they always do, they try to get your fine reduced. That's the main thing. And I said, well, I'm really not looking for that. And he said, well, if you go to trial, it's a strong possibility that, you could be found guilty. And I then replied, well, it's also a strong possibility that I could be found innocent. And he said, well, you're right. I said, I know, I am. But anyway, I filed my motion as you suggested, trial by jury. I advised him, hey, I don't want my fine reduced to $50. I want to, that's what I was thinking in my mind. I'm not trying to get my fine reduced. I'm trying to get it dismissed. So I did what you did. I filed that motion for trial by jury. I also filed the motion to dismiss, which obviously showed, like you told me, to file the exhibit, which actually shows that I wasn't on the phone or even texting at the time the ticket was issued.
Right, so you basically filed an exhibit, but basically proof showing that the officer lied.
Absolutely.
Right.
And, the day I was supposed to come to my court date, I filed a motion hearing first and presented that to the judge, and he said, well, obviously I can't dismiss it on this basis because, this is obviously an exhibit for trial, so I can't dismiss it on this basis. So the judge actually scheduled me a myself that, sir, that by the look at your emotions that you filed, obviously you're innocent. So then she began talking to someone, I believe that's the clerk, and she actually had told me to go have a seat. And 15 minutes later, the bailiff comes to me and hands me a document stating that the prosecutor doesn't want to prosecute, and that they're pretty much telling me to go home. You're good.
Yeah.
Good to go. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you won, and obviously you shouldn't have wasted your time in the first place, because this is an everyday occurrence, but you happen to have the evidence to prove that you were innocent this time, of course. What would you suggest to people out there that want to do a simple plea bargain or reduce their charge to something less? What would you say to them?
Hey, I mean, my motto is, man, fuck them all. Excuse my French, man. That's just how I feel about the court system, man. It's a cash cow. And I'm just thankful, man, that, there's people like you that are out there, that are sharing information with the public, to the masses, to the masses of people that don't know, or to even people listening that may not believe it. This is real. It's real life, everyday thing. And, you have cops out here that are trying to hit a quota, and it's real. So I suggest people, don't take the plea bargain. You're doing exactly what they expect you to do. I mean, and if you don't know, you're going to end up taking that plea bargain. And unfortunately, in America, there's tons of money to be made from ignorance. There's a lot of money to be made from ignorance. So I say, educate yourself. Reach out to people who know people such as yourselves that are willing to help. And don't take their plea bargain, man. Do what's right, fight for what's right, take the stand, and go all the way. I mean, because at the end of the day, you're not going to get locked up for a ticket. There's no harm in fighting the ticket. There's nothing in the law that states you're going to do life in jail or death penalty for fighting a traffic violation. So, educate yourself and do it. Just do it. Don't take the plea bargain. Do it. And the more people that wake up, the better things are going to be. They're going to have to make changes once people start waking up.
Yeah, I agree, man, and I want to thank you for making this video with me, because I know you have a very busy schedule, so I want to thank you once again.
Hey, man, I want to thank you for finding time in your day to help me out, man, because like you said, man, people that have the time don't have the money, and people with the money don't have the time, so you've helped me balance that out, and you told me the right thing to do, and I did it, and at the end of the day, man, everything worked out.
Yeah, well, I'm glad it worked out the way it did, man, and hopefully we'll be making more videos with people such as yourself, how they're winning these crooked cops and all these fraudulent cases that are always brought upon us. But thanks again, man, and I'm going to stop the video, okay?
Hey, man, thank you so much, man.
Okay.